Wait, is it time to record? Oh god. I am so sorry. It's not gonna happen again, I promise you. I'll record the videos, I'll do whatever you want, just please. I swear on my life, this is not gonna happen again. Please. Please. Oh god. Oh shit. Shit, I'm sorry. Hey all, Kumo here, back for another video of my game Hollow Runes. So in case you're new here, Hollow Runes is going to be a 3D action RPG that I'm creating using Unity. If you haven't seen the first devlog, I highly recommend you going back and checking it out because it talks about a lot of my inspiration and some of the plans that I have for the game. I want to start off this video by saying thank you so much for the positive reception of my first video. It means the absolute world to me. I'm already close to almost 100 subscribers, and that might not seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but to me, that means absolutely everything. So again, thank you all so much. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. So in today's devlog, I want to primarily focus on the gameplay loop. But before we jump into all of that, I want to show you a bunch of the improvements I made on the animation side. So before I started working on all the animation and movement coding, I wanted to get a test scene that I could use to, well, test all of the animation of my character. At first I had the idea of making my own, but then I decided to go to the Unity asset store and I picked up this amazing starter asset, third-person character controller, but for my purposes, I'm just going to be using the test scene that comes with the project for Hollow Runes. So after loading in the scene and putting my player character into the game, we finally have a scene that I can use for playtesting, and I'll probably continue to use this scene as well moving forward, at least until I redesign the first level to a place that I'm happy with, but that'll be in the future. One of the first things that I wanted to do before setting up any extra movement was clean up the movements that are already present in my game. One of the big outliers being the way the player character runs. I just thought it lacked a lot of fluidity and felt rather rigid, so I wanted to fix that first. Hopping into Blender, I was originally just going to scrap the old original animation that I had for running, so I tried it and yeah. But I decided to just do a bunch of tweaks and I think that worked really great. Let me know what you think in the comments. What I basically did was change a lot of the hip and shoulder motions, as well as give the character some bounce so it looks a lot more realistic. And while I was at it, I also decided to add a walking animation for the player, as running was the only movement animation that they had at the time. And man oh man, just look at them walk down that catwalk. So after doing some coding and some light tweaks on my very work in progress animation states, I was very happy with how it came out, and running is assigned to a button press. So this is the final result. First it starts off on the walking animation state and then transitions into the running animation state. There'll certainly be more tweaks along the way, and I know it's not 100% perfect, but for now I'm very happy with the result and hopefully it will do for now as I continue to playtest. And for reference, here's a side-by-side comparison between the old animation and the new one. Again, let me know in the comments down below any feedback that you might have. So another thing that was itching at the back of my skull was the jumping animation. Originally, it was just a very early test, but it kind of turned into more of a descent than an actual jump, so I wanted to rework that as well. Like before, I jumped right back into Blender and started working on the animation. It's a pretty simple one, but I'm happy with it for now. Again, probably subject to change again, but it works. And bam, now we have a jumping animation that actually looks like the character is using their legs to descend off the ground, and I like it. And the final animation that I wanted to implement in this video is wall jumping. As you can see here, everything is working perfectly as intended, but on a more serious note, I was having a lot of difficulty coding this into the game, so any suggestions would be much appreciated. And speaking of bad segues, I just created a Discord server that we can do just that. So if you want a place where you can give me suggestions, any feedback that you might have, or just a cool place to hang out, then link is going to be in the description below. Thank you guys so much and I hope you join. And now we're on to my favorite segment of this episode, the gameplay loop. Hollow Runes is an action RPG, so it's primarily going to be focused on adventure, exploration, and meeting a wide variety of characters along your journey. However, another main component of this game is going to be crafting. The crafting in Hollow Runes is going to be slightly different than in traditional games, because in order to use your skills, or runes in this case, you're going to need to craft every component out of the base materials that it's derived from. So let's use this example with a bat enemy. This bat has the possibility of dropping a bat wing, and on that bat wing there can be 2 attributes tied directly to the item. In this case, darkness and flying. You'll then be able to extract one of the attributes or elements from the bat wing to use to create a glyph. These glyphs are runic symbols that have an element or attribute tied to them. And once you have enough components or materials to form that glyph, then you can insert those glyphs into a stone or conduit to use your skills. Hopefully you were all able to follow along with my shitty visuals, but I created this diagram to hopefully summarize it a little bit more. So you start off by killing an enemy, like this bat that we have in the example. You then have a chance to obtain the enemy's loot or material from them. Then moving down, if you have enough of the component, you can craft the glyph, and then with the glyph, you can transfer that energy to a stone or other conduit to receive your powers. There are a lot more ideas that I have in place, but it's already information overload, so we're just going to leave it there for now. But what I'm hoping for is that this gameplay loop is going to facilitate going out and adventuring, finding more enemies just to get their loot, and then being able to go back and craft your favorite new skills. I've always loved the idea of being able to go and experiment with different builds and different synergies with skills that I haven't used, which adds a lot of replay value to the game for me. So that's something I'm trying to achieve with Hollow Runes. Well, that wraps up another devlog. I really hope that you guys enjoyed everything that I had to show you today. If you, again, have any suggestions or feedback for me, then either give me a shout or join the Discord below. I'd love to see you there. And like always, cheers.